Your adjustment panel is right here next to properties. And when you want to change the color of everything, that is called hue and saturation. So this right here at the top right corner, if I click on it, we are looking at the modern view, the newest view. There's also a classic view just to show you what that looks like. So it changes it and it only gives you the icons. That was the original Photoshop for many years. They changed it to a modern view. Okay, so now that we're here, you can see that hue and saturation is right here. That's to change the colors. Before we do though, I just want to show you what happens if I hover over. So I don't actually click on it, but I'm hovering over some of these areas here. It gives you different filters, right? But that's not what we're gonna do today. So we're gonna go into hue and saturation, and I have to click on it. And now you can see in the layers panel, here's my image, and here's the hue and saturation. Nothing has changed yet because I need to adjust it still. So in the properties panel where hue and saturation is, see how everything says 0? That's because it's the original photo. Nothing has been adjusted. So if I want to adjust the hue, which means color, if I take this slider to the right or the left, as you can see, the colors change. Saturation is how intense these colors are going to get. So how dull or how intense do I want them? This slider down here, I would not suggest for you to use because it does not look natural. Let me just show you what I mean. If I want to add lightness and darkness to this is what happens. And there is another tool for that, which I can show you. So I'm just going to put this back to 0. You can always put them back to 0 if you don't like what you did, but that's pretty much the hue and saturation. Now, if I want to add more shadows and more highlights, like intensify those, I can go back to my adjustments panel and look for, it's called curves or levels, right? Those two also add a bit of adjustment. So if I go into curves, for example, you can see that there is white down here, which is your highlights and your shadows. This is a line here that can essentially, you can click on it and add anchor points and adjust this. There's also, this whole image is RGB color mode. So you can see RGB right here, and you can go into each of these colors and adjust if you needed to isolate any of these, but I'm going to leave it at RGB. So to show you what I mean, I'm just going to put an anchor point first here in the middle, and another one down here near the shadows, and another one here near the top. So the middle, I put one here because I don't want the whole entire line moving if I move this area here. So this anchors it down. So let's say I wanted more shadows. If I click and drag down, now look at my picture, the difference. If I look at my layers panel and turn off what I just did, that was the original without the curves. If I turn it back on, you can see it adds more intensity. And same thing on this side. If I want to intensify more the highlights, I grab this anchor point that I added and drag up. Not too much, but you can kind of play with that. And you could always turn these off if you don't like what you see, or you could take these and throw these in the trash, which I'm going to leave as is. So that's where you can play around with some of these adjustments, but what the exercise I want you to work on is hue and saturation, and try curves as well, adding a bit of more intensity in your image.